So the Game Awards just happened, and we got an announcement trailer from Naughty Dog's new game, what the hell is the name of it? And we got an announcement trailer for Naughty Dog's new game, Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. That's a really long title in my opinion. This new sci-fi game features space bounty hunters, Kumail Nanjiani, and lots of product placement. It doesn't have a release date yet and has been in development for 4 years apparently, so it's kind of odd that it doesn't at least have some kind of release window. I would have expected, 2025, 2026. We still could be years out from this game, who knows? And while they have delivered quality products in the past, I feel Naughty Dog as a developer has really fallen from grace for me. We all know Naughty Dog. They're a very good developer, they have great games in their history. They have Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, the Uncharted games, and their biggest success, The Last of Us. And speaking of success, I'd consider it a great success if you'd click on that like and subscribe button, and leave a comment maybe, even if it's just to say hi. It helps me out a bunch, it really does. Anyway, back to the video. Now, it's early days yet, and we don't know what kind of game this is going to be. Well, it looks like it's going to be a hack and slash from the tiny, minuscule amount of gameplay that they threw in at the end. Like, if you click off the video too early, you'll miss it. My own speculation on this is I feel like this might play a little bit like Naughty Dog's version of Jedi Fallen Order, featuring an 80s soundtrack. But that's my own speculation. We'll see what gameplay is like when it actually releases. Previous to this announcement trailer, the last confirmation of any kind of project we got from Naughty Dog was the confirmation that they stopped working on a Last of Us based multiplayer game because they can't commit the resources. Which I really respect. I really like that Naughty Dog said, hey, we actually can't commit the resources to do this. We're a single player studio. This is what brought us to the table. We're going to keep with this. Sony, stop telling us to make live service games because we're going to end up with another Concord. So on that hand, I think that's something that Naughty Dog has really done well. On the other hand, I feel that Naughty Dog has really coasted the last number of years off of previously released games. So since 2013, when The Last of Us released, we've had Uncharted 4, The Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted Lost Legacy, The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 1, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, which is just a remaster of Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So in just over the last decade, there's been 7 games, but 4 of them are re-releases. So that's not a great batting average. At the moment, Neil Druckmann is the head of Naughty Dog Games. He's well lauded because he wrote The Last of Us. Fair play to him. It's a great story. We all love it, even though The Last of Us is very played out now. But something that I feel doesn't get brought up very frequently is that he didn't quite do this alone. For The Last of Us and Uncharted 4, there was another director on board, Bruce Straley, who was the game director, while Neil Druckmann served as the creative director for those games. According to Neil Druckmann, Bruce Straley also co-wrote The Last of Us, and his credit wasn't put on the TV show, which is poor form in my opinion. Now, this is a very specific example that I'm bringing up here. One person doesn't make a huge difference on a game, but when it comes to a game director versus a creative director level, that's a completely different skill set there that one person can bring that may complement the other person. So I think that can make a large difference when it comes to these games, and especially when you look at the critical response to The Last of Us Part 2 compared to the universal acclaim of The Last of Us Part 1. I think Hideo Kojima is kind of a similar example to this, where Hideo Kojima has a lot of ideas, not all of them are good, and he needs like a really good writer or producer or whoever was involved in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 to filter out some of his bad ideas to keep the good stuff there. But given that they don't have Bruce Straley on board anymore, and that The Last of Us Part 2 brought in a lot of critical reception, and that they're just retreading IPs over and over again for the last decade, I think Naughty Dog really need to prove themselves with Intergalactic. We're also 4 years into the PlayStation 5's life cycle, and Naughty Dog hasn't released a game on the console. They just have The Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and that's it. And I think that's kind of poor form that they haven't been able to get a game out, considering if you compare it to someone like Insomniac, who's brought out 2 or 3 games at least. It just shows a complete different level of, I guess, deliverables that these different studios can bring. And while Naughty Dog is meant to be a top-tier developer, like I said, 4 of their last 7 games were re-releases. I think the only studios who are probably considered worse in terms of re-releases are Rockstar re-releasing GTA 5 and Bethesda re-releasing Skyrim. Like, they're at that level of re-releasing that people are making jokes in the announcement trailer about it. It's ridiculous. There is a certain value that some developers can bring when they release a game. Like I said, Rockstar re-released GTA 5, but it still doesn't feel as egregious as re-releasing The Last of Us over and over again. CD Projekt Red are also a studio who are like that, people are always kind of like, yeah, make Cyberpunk, we'll wait. Make The Witcher 3, make The Witcher 4, like, we'll wait, it's cool, take your time. And I think Naughty Dog was seen as one of these studios for a while. They gained that acclaim from The Last of Us, but they've really fallen on by the wayside when it comes to that. And I think that really shows. So Naughty Dog really need Intergalactic to be a banger of a game to show that they can still hit hard as a studio. Otherwise, the last like critically acclaimed game that they released would have been in 2016, and that was Uncharted 4. And especially given how costly and long games development life cycles are now, they really need to show their value as like one of Sony's top studios. That if they're only given one game a generation, that it needs to be like a defining game. Otherwise, what's the point of them being the top dogs, as it were? Especially when you look at the output of a lot of the game studios under Sony. You know, you have Insomniac, who are throwing out lots of bangers. You have Guerrilla Games, who are focusing a lot on Horizon. You have Santa Monica, who are throwing out God of War stuff. And Naughty Dog just haven't made anything new in a few years, and likely won't release Intergalactic for a few years. And it just kind of... They've fallen off a bit, and they need something to really try and put them back on top. And they really need this win. Oh boy. Because if this game isn't fantastic, I think it'll cement them as like just not as good a studio as they think they are.